You're listening to Health Coach Conversations, a podcast where our conversations help health coaches all around the world to level up our businesses and to get more clients. Hello and welcome. Today I am talking to Diego Oliveira Sanchez. He is the co-founder of NutriAdmin or nutriadmin.com. And that's a leading software for nutritionists and coaches launched in 2016. For Diego, NutriAdmin combines his two passions, software and nutrition. Diego has a background in scientific computing with Cambridge University in England and has been writing code since 2009. Diego has also been passionate about nutrition for more than a decade. It's personal, and I will ask him about it in our call. Well, thank you for joining me today.
No worries.
All right, so I have some questions for you. First of all, I read your bio earlier. Tell us about I stopped at your personal story. So tell us your personal story that connects you to the nutrition end of your business.
Of course, yeah. Well, so my name's Diego. And basically, when I was growing up, I was healthy and I was eating well. Then I started uni. And instead of eating the healthy food that my mom was cooking, I started eating really poorly. I gained a lot of weight. I gained 35 kilograms in just a couple of years in uni. And it got to a point where I was just having pain on my chest. And I was thinking, if I keep on living like this, I'm going to die down. So I started to take care of my health. And it was challenging. Like the first 6 months, I tried dieting. It was a disaster. I tried some crazy diets that just made me more sick than healthy. And through some trial and error and pain, eventually I learned about nutrition. I read some books. I met a nutritionist. And eventually I learned to eat healthy. This has just changed my life. It's basically, I lost the 35 kilos very fast. And then I was fit enough in uni to join the rowing team and do rowing with other people that have always been fit all their lives. And I've kept like around 10% body fat for the last 10 years. And to me, it's all been knowledge. And this nutrition knowledge just changed my life. I think I live a better life now. I'm going to live longer. And I want to, a lot of this has been preventable damage that I did to myself because I didn't know any better. So I want to help in any way I can for more people to have access to nutrition and to great education so that they can improve their health. And that's kind of the nutrition part. And then I studied physics at university. I graduated from Cambridge with a scientific computing master's, and I've always been working in software. So NutriAdmin basically has merged these two passions of software and nutrition, where I can collaborate with coaches and nutritionists and bring them a tool to help their clients just improve their health.
The nutrition end of it adds a little bit of a higher purpose, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, you can write software for all sorts of projects, and some of them are going to be just shifting numbers in some spreadsheet that nobody cares about. And here I feel like, we get feedback from users that, wow, this tool has allowed me to help these people, and they're so happy. And it's just really, really rewarding. So yeah. I feel like I'm very privileged having this opportunity to work in this field.
Okay, so I have some questions for you. We already know who you are. What is NutriAdmin?
So NutriAdmin, you can access it at nutriadmin.com. And this is our software product. So this is my business. I have a business co-founder as well, a business partner. And we've launched NutriAdmin back in 2016, so almost 8 years ago. And ever since then, our goal has been to help nutritionists, coaches, and to a lesser extent, also personal trainers to do their work more efficiently. So with NutriAdmin, you can manage your client records, you can create meal plans, analyze diets. And our goal is basically to provide a tool that allows you to do all your work, basically. So you only need a phone, email, and NutriAdmin. And you log into NutriAdmin every day. You have all your client info, you schedule appointments, you process payments. It's kind of like an operative system for nutrition professionals.
We have a lot of coaches who need practice management. So your platform, I call it that just because I don't know what else to call it.
That's a good name.
Okay. Your platform is more appropriate for health coaches dietitians, nutritionists, people that work with food, right?
Precisely. And people will work with clients. So, for example, if you work for a food manufacturer and you're analyzing menus, and you can still use NutriAdmin, but it's not really the best fit. But if you're working with clients, you're coaching them, you're doing consultations, or if you're making meal plans in any capacity. I mean, it could be if you're planning a menu for a school or a hospital, you can still use it. But yeah, I'd say we have different use cases. The best use case is for nutritionists that are consulting with clients, health coaches that are consulting with clients, and that are either one-off consultations or following up over time.
Okay. What about mental health specialists? This would probably not be the best thing for them.
Not, I mean, I would imagine there is a more targeted tool. You can still use it, especially if you want to incorporate any sort of nutrition element into it.
Yeah, the
So
people that are working with gut health related to mental health, then it would be a great program or platform, right?
I think so, yeah, because I mean, it kind of surprises me from my background as a software developer. We sort of launched NutriAdmin targeted nutrition professionals, and every now and then we find someone that we didn't expect that really likes the software. Like we've had a massage therapist that really liked it because they combine massage therapy with nutrition plans. So it can happen, but the main intended audience are people that incorporate a nutrition component into their program.
What are some of the most common pain points that you've heard from nutritionists and coaches in a professional context?
Yeah, there's loads. It's just that's kind of how we started the business. We interviewed a lot of professionals and we asked them what are the pain points you have and how can we solve them, right? And we interacted with all these professionals and we noticed some patterns. There are some things that are common and that most people report. So, for example, if you work in a fitness context, let's say you're a personal trainer or a fitness coach, one of the major pain points is something like, I just had this client in the gym. They did an amazing workout. They smashed all their, they could accomplish so much. And then they left the gym and they went straight into McDonald's and binged on some, less than desirable food. So, yeah, like a lot of people work in the fitness industry and they are kind of mastering the fitness part. They're coaching their clients. They are doing the exercise, but then the clients are not eating well. And it's probably impossible or really hard to get fit if you're exercising, but you're not eating well. I've heard from a lot of coaches and trainers, they even say, they work coaching, that's how they make their money. And they'll still say things like it's 80% nutrition and 20% exercise, or you cannot outwork a bad diet, etc. So yeah, that's one of the pain points. So people that train others in a gym or for fitness, and they need a way of effectively giving them nutrition advice. And then the problem becomes, okay, how do I give them nutritional advice? So if, sometimes the client does the workout and then they ask, can you give me a meal plan? And either they expect it for free or they expect it to just change their life and be a magic bullet. So that's another frustration where, some of the people may take 3 hours to make a meal plan and they cannot really justify the cost. The client will not pay for that much. Or in order to produce a meal plan fast enough with the budget of the customer, which is going to be zero or very little, they just have to recycle a generic meal plan that they downloaded from the internet, or perhaps just a sample that they just give the same sample to everyone. And that's not going to be very effective. So that's another pain point, right? Like, how do we make individualized meal plans for clients? They need to take into account their food preferences, allergies, goals, calories, and how do we make that fast and effective? And finally, the final pain point we hear is just that you study nutrition in school, let's say, and you learn how to handle the nutrition side. You become an expert, right, on diagnosing nutrition, gut health issues, how to help lose weight for people. But then you're not really taught how to manage a business or how to grow a practice. And there are so many, as you start dealing in the real world with people, you're going to start to have lots of files that you have to organize, compliance that you have to do, follow up, that you need to know some human psychology. How do I follow up with people so that they actually show up to the appointments? That's like a massive pain point. You did all the work and people don't show up to the appointment. So those are the 3 pain points: nutrition, admin stuff, and following up with clients. There's loads. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot. What are some ways that you've seen your customers have measurable success?
Mhm. So with NutriAdmin, basically, yeah, we've interviewed people, and these were the biggest pain points, and we've tried to make software to help with them. So for meal plans, we have this is our most popular feature, is a meal plan generator. And what it does is you can create meal plans that are individualized in 60 seconds. And the way it works is you specify, I want, for example, a paleo diet with 50% fat, 30% protein, 20% carbs. This is specific, like using a pan and using a pot, but not an oven because my client doesn't have time. Recipes that are at most 20 minutes, exclude these particular ingredients or allergens, these particular cuisines. So you just fill in this form with the parameters that define the diet. And then you click a button, and the algorithm gives you meal options that match all your criteria. The recipe.
Do you have a way for
Mhm.
the customer, not the coach or the nutritionist, but the end user to come up with that information on their own from there?
Not really at the
No?
moment. I mean, we have a free demo that anybody can use. So if you just are curious and you want to try it once, you can do it for free.
Yeah.
And we may release a version for consumers in the future so that anybody can do it. But at the moment, we want to focus our effort on just the professional nutritionists and coaches because it's kind of, yeah, there's so many directions in which we can go. But we feel that if we just focus first on a specific audience of coaches and nutritionists, we can make the best product possible for them, taking into account their unique feedback and desires. And then, yeah, in the future, we can always expand if we see fit.
Yeah, I was
Um,
thinking of more along the lines of the customer of the coach being able to fill out that information in the platform through the
mhm.
coach. But it sounds like
Oh,
the
okay. I see what you mean. Yeah,
like
we
through a
do have.
form.
Yeah, we do have. Okay, yeah, we do have that form actually. Now I
Really?
understand what you mean.
Okay.
So we have for you can have questionnaires as part of the software, and the client can fill in their food preferences, their allergens, their goals. But then it doesn't really fit directly into the generator. You have to, as a professional, design. Perhaps because the client doesn't necessarily know what's good for. Like maybe they tell you, let's say they fill in a food diary, they fill in their allergens, but then they don't necessarily know how many calories they should eat or how that's for you to decide, right?
Yeah, well, in the United States, and I don't know how it is in the UK, there are some states that allow the coaches to do that for their customers, and there's some that
Mm,
don't. But that would be up to them, and they would have the information available to them. And if they had, a general group, I would think they'd have to talk to an attorney, I would think,
mm,
that had the same kind of gut problems, then they could maybe generate a more general one if they weren't allowed
mm,
to do individual ones, right?
mhm, mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. There's this kind of use case we get, perhaps related to what you said, where let's say some of our users they have people that fit into particular profiles, like you said. So yeah, I mean, essentially anybody can go online and find food and diet and nutrition info, and that is all freely available. Where the skill of the nutrition practitioner comes in is in curating this vast amount of information, some of it misinformation, and just finding the right fit for the right client. And for example, yeah, in NutriAdmin, you can save sort of these templates, like let's say one for gut health for people with this particular BMI, one for uh, sports for this particular sport, one for diabetes patients, and then if you see somebody that fits the criteria, you load up the template. Perhaps you tweak it a little bit to add the food preferences of the client, and like in general, the software is designed so that you don't have to do over and over the same thing. Like we want you to do only to write things once and then reuse them. That's where software brings you leverage. You don't software is very good at repeating the same action over and over. So
Right.
that's kind of the philosophy behind the program.
Okay. How does the typical experience look like for the user, the coach or the nutritionist?
Mhm. So we have two types. One of them are people that they get mostly one-off clients. A lot of them just want to lose weight, and you give them a meal plan. So that is the simplest. they can create a meal plan. And then about the other half of the users, they have these long-term relationships with the clients. So these tend to be more complicated issues. Like, let's say somebody that has a digestive issue, somebody that has perhaps some medical condition. You're going to have consultations over time, do tests, recommend different lifestyle changes, and monitor them over time to hopefully see them improve. So for this second group, how it works is they get the clients into NutriAdmin. So the first sort of interaction is you either send them your calendar to book an appointment. You send them questionnaires to fill in their particular medical conditions, nutritional assessment, food diaries. That you can customize them and they can be really complex. And you also send them payment forms so that they pay for the service. So that's sort of how the client enters the system. Then once the client is in the system, you can conduct a consultation with them. You can do it in person or via video. And as you do the consultation, you'll be taking notes. So the software allows you to take notes in an efficient way where you have pre-populated forms and you're mostly filling in the blanks, and you can customize those forms so that they meet your requirements. And then after the consultation, we have tools that allow you to reschedule it and to set up reminders and all sorts of follow-up things to increase compliance. And you will produce some sort of advice after the consultation. And the advice could be either creating a meal plan. So we have meal planning software that is quite advanced and allows you to either make a meal plan very quickly if you just need some rough guideline, or really delve deep and customize every little aspect, every little portion, depending on the goal. And then you can also make reports, which are, like Word documents where you can type anything you want. But the advantage is that because all the client data is in the system, the report can read that data and incorporate it in a very practical way. You can click a button and import a chunk of text that you took from your notes, format it. So that's kind of the output you produce, your advice, either meal plans, reports. And once that's ready, you share it with the client via the portal, and the client can log into their sort of mini NutriAdmin where they see the information you've shared. And then you just rinse and repeat with multiple clients or with the same client on follow-up consultations.
Okay. When I was talking to the group of coaches and nurses, I had a lot of nurses that I talked to and a doctor about this. Their question was, is this in metrics? Because the UK is a different numerical system
of course,
than the
yeah.
United States does. And we've got customers everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, actually so we are based in the UK, but we about 50 to 60% of our customers are in the United States, actually, which is just, the United States is a much bigger country, so you're going to get more people from there. And we have support, we have customers in the US, UK, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, some in Europe, some Middle East, but the majority are in the English-speaking countries. And you can choose metric or imperial units for weight, height, customize the date format. Like Americans, for some reason, I cannot really understand, put the month first, which I've always found very confusing. But then people in Britain are very proud of other things that don't make sense, like you have a cold water tap and a hot water tap instead of mixing it into one. So you're either going to freeze or burn your hands. So every country has their idiosyncrasies.
Okay, so with the recipes, is that adjustable to imperial or metric?
Yeah. Everything is.
You've got all the right answers today.
I mean, so it's not like the software is perfect, but it's been around for 8 years, and because we collect the feedback from users, you should expect that if there is something very obvious, very common that you need in your work, it's very likely that a lot of people have requested the same thing to us before. Mm-hmm. And given, if it is feasible, we'll do it. And we collect user feedback. So we have a system where if you use the software and anything is missing, you can request it. And then we keep track of all the requests, and we prioritize developing them based on how many people requested it and how feasible it is, right? So we are really going to focus on those things that are make or break. Like if you are in a country where everything is in ounces and the software everything is in grams, it's going to be useless, right? So that's why the first thing we implemented. In fact, when you join in NutriAdmin, the first question you are asked is, do you want grams? Do you want ounces? Do you want pounds? Do you want centimeters, feet? And then everything just works for your particular country. We also have US database for food, UK database, Australian database. So
food's a lot different, isn't it?
Yeah, I've like I've traveled to a few other countries. I've noticed that specifically with whitefish. So you can get broccoli and rice everywhere, but the whitefish are different in every country, and I guess it's because there are different oceans, and different oceans have different type of fish. So when I check the whitefish that they eat in Australia, I've never seen any of those in my life.
Really?
And like because I guess why would you import a fish from the other side of the globe when there's fishing here as well? I mean, I don't know.
That are fresh.
Yeah, so supply chains can work in crazy ways, but we want to have local options for we even have ways you can create your own recipes and food. So sometimes we get someone from a country where we are not very familiar with. Like we have some people from some African countries or Asian countries, and there's some particular food that is really popular there and we don't have it. So you have the option to create those yourself. So this way, the location shouldn't be a problem. And if you are in the US or UK or Australia, those are actually our biggest markets. So that's where it's going to work the best, out of the box. So, yeah.
Very good. Very good. How long does it take to learn the software? Saying that you're uncomfortable with. I mean, most of our people are uncomfortable with it, but they'll soldier through. So how long does it take? And if they're having trouble, they get help?
Yeah. It's really easy. Our experience, the vast majority of people figure it out very quickly. What we've noticed is, so first of all, it's almost like you already know how it works because we've developed it. Like, I'm a software developer. I don't know how a nutritionist works. At least I didn't know when I started. So we just asked them, describe your day-to-day work. We've asked this to loads of people, and we build the software to match that experience. It's just that instead of writing it in paper, you write it in a form, or instead of doing some calculation, you just click a button and the button does the calculation you expect. So it's relatively straightforward. To give you some stats, when people join NutriAdmin, maybe about half of them never reach out to ask us any question. They just figure it out on their own. Then maybe the other 50%, maybe half of those, they have one or two questions initially, and then they never really have to ask other questions. And then a small percentage of them will ask us questions maybe for the first month or so. But within the first month, the vast majority of people figure it out. And then to help people learn, we have number one, we have hundreds of step-by-step tutorials. They have screenshots and they have videos. So our goal is we never want to answer the same question twice. So if somebody asks us a question and we don't have an answer for it, instead of replying, we'll make a tutorial first and then we'll send in the tutorial with a reply. So this way, like these days, 99% of the questions we get, we already have a step-by-step tutorial that explains it really, really simply. And then we also have, we offer an onboarding call to a new user. So if you just join the software, we'll offer you a call to answer all your questions and to help you get started. And then, with our sort of, like we've had some people join that they've confessed they're not very good with computers and they don't like computers and they just kind of feel forced to use them. And even most of them can use it fine. So I'd say that it's relatively easy based on at least we are trying to make it as easy as we can.
Yeah, our people sometimes confess to crying over their computers.
Yeah. I just want to add, you have to take into account this also, when it comes to software, there are what I would call general purpose tools. So let's say you use something like Microsoft Excel. It is so powerful. It can do a million things, but it will only do them well if you know what you're doing. And you have to learn a lot to use it. You have to learn formulas. But because ours is a very specialized tool, just for nutritionists, it only does nutrition things that you already know how to do. So basically, if you don't know how to do it, it's because we've made a poor job in the interface in some particular place, and we'll try to fix it. But it should be basically just a computer representation of what you are already doing in your daily work.
Yeah, I try to compare what you do with people and what we do with websites, in that you've got to go in and you have to learn how to put it in, and you've got multiple choice. But with you really don't have that many choices. They go in and bing, 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 and they've got what they need, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's just kind of, there's a trade-off between being general purpose and sort of in business aiming for a wide market. If you have a wide market, you need to make everything very abstract, very generic, and you can reach more people. But the tool is harder to understand. If you go into a niche, into a vertical, you can really, really excel you'll have fewer customers, but the customers will be happier and possibly pay you more per customer because they're getting a really tailored solution. So that's sort of, in our case, we want to be the best for professional nutritionists and coaches, and excelling every aspect there. Make it easy to learn, easy to use. It does the work that you need, and it doesn't do anything else that will be confusing or irrelevant to you.
I saw that you have some CRM on there. Is that customers records management to keep track of customers, or can that also be used to reach out to potential new customers?
That's a good question. So we do have some very basic marketing features. So you can import new customers into the system, and you can even send an email blast to everybody. But we sort of, it's mainly about keeping track of your existing customers. And the reason for that is because if there is really excellent software for marketing out there, again, some of it is very general purpose. And because it has a wide audience, some of it you can even use for free or for very cheap, because those companies are bigger and their business model has millions of customers instead of a small niche. So we don't want to really start replicating every marketing feature. Instead, we want to focus our effort into the nutrition specific features. So we sort of give you the minimum so that if you are somebody starting out, you can get some useful features, send emails and stuff. And then we allow you to export the data, and so if you're a more advanced user, you can export your clients, enter them into a platform like MailChimp or HubSpot, and then you do the marketing advanced stuff in there.
Because that's what they do, and you do nutrition.
Exactly. And we'll never be able to do all the marketing features as well as they would. We also don't try to replicate email or just want to focus on the nutrition bit that nobody else is doing.
Okay, so you've got a product that most of our listeners need. How would they well, I also saw you've got a 14-day free trial.
Mm-hmm.
So they can try it out, make sure that it's something that would work for them.
Mm-hmm. Precisely. Okay. Yeah. Like in companies like ours, in our case, and I would imagine it's the same for similar businesses to ours, we make like 95% of our money from long-term customers. So essentially, you're going to try the software. Either it works very well for you, you're very happy. If it saves you 40 hours of work a week, then it pays for itself. It's just making you so much more productive, and you will use it long term. But then if you try it, that is not really for you, you're going to cancel very quickly, right? And our stats just show that, most of the income we make are for the people that tried it, and it's a good match, and they use it long term. So that's why we give you a free trial. We also have a 30-day money back guarantee. So if you try within the first 30 days and you don't like it for any reason, we'll just give you the money back, because we're never really going to make any money in somebody that is unhappy with the product. It's not like it's not like a sandwich that you buy it, you consume it once, and that's it. That's something that some of our users have been using it for 7 or 8 years nonstop. So if it works for you, it will work very well. You can try it, ask questions. We send you a little onboarding course when you join in as well, with some tips based on, we ask you some questions when you join in on what your priorities are, and we'll automatically send you some relevant resources to help you get started. And then, if you decide it's not for you, you can cancel anytime, and we're very flexible with this.
Yeah, it sounds like it's something, though, that would be very helpful to them. Okay, so we've got NutriAdmin.com, and then you also have a lot of information on your website. And so there's NutriAdmin.com/blogs/ whatever, but one that you had was how to make a meal plan. So we'll put those links below the podcast, and that way anybody that's listening can get those things. It looks like I think I've asked all the questions I need to ask.
Yeah, and you've been very kind to listen. I can talk a lot, so I hope I didn't run over my time.
But it was all valid information. Thank you.
Hope so.
Thanks for being here today.
No worries. Thank you for inviting me. And if anybody listening has any question, I can be reached out at diego@nutriadmin.com. So I'm happy to follow up with anyone if they're curious about NutriAdmin.
Okay, we will put that on underneath too, but it's Diego@nutriadmin.com.
Excellent.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you liked what you heard, please give us a 5-star rating or review on iTunes.